About his cabinet picks, including big support from young voters, and how his plan for mass deportations is landing with Americans. Also ahead, are America's grocery stores safe? With the recalls we've seen lately, many of us are asking questions about deli meat, waffles, carrots, and ground beef. Many shoppers are rightfully concerned. From E. coli to listeria, what to look out for this holiday cooking season, and the biggest safety tips you need to know right here on Morning in America. Top of the hour this morning, and the busiest travel week of the year is here, and it's upon us, with AAA predicting nearly 80 million people will leave town for Thanksgiving. You're looking live right now at Los Angeles International Airport. Nearly 6 million people are expected to fly at various airports across the country over the holiday. And travelers at dozens of airports, maybe even yours, can expect to get their faces scanned with the TSA's facial recognition technology. A bipartisan group of senators is sounding the alarm on this tech this morning, calling the program out of control. News Nation's Xavier Walton is at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. Xavier, what is it about this tech that has lawmakers worried? Because I myself have done it several times going through LaGuardia.
Yeah, you don't even think about it, right? Well, you and I were used to standing in front of a camera and having our faces seen and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, Nick, what it comes down to is privacy, right? And has this thing, this tech been fully, has it been, oh, now we're covered here. Has it gone through the proper testing and that sort of thing? But not everyone feels comfortable with it, so to speak. A bipartisan group of senators, including Jeff Merkley and John Kennedy, along with others on Capitol Hill, sent a letter to TSA's Inspector General asking to look into the facial recognition technologies. Those senators feel like, you know what, it poses risks to passengers' civil liberties, saying, quote, this tech will soon be in use at hundreds of major and mid-sized airports without an independent evaluation of the technology's precision or audit of whether there are sufficient safeguards in place to protect passenger privacy. News Nation, you know what, we reached out to TSA about this letter. A spokesperson said they don't necessarily comment on any discussions with the Inspector General, but will cooperate fully with any potential audit that may happen. TSA's administrator says, you know, it'll get to a point that the biometrics, such as facial recognition, will be required across the board just because it's efficient and it's also effective, Nick.
Xavier, the TSA says it wants to make those biometrics actually required because of, you mentioned, their efficiency. But is it mandatory for passengers to do right now on this Monday or this Thanksgiving as they prepare to fly?
It is not mandatory, and that's something that TSA is certainly stressing. You could actually opt out of it. We're going to get to that in just a second. But first, let's hear a little bit more from the TSA administrator.
Let's say you go up and you insert your driver's license into the machine. It pulls your digital identity off your driver's license. As soon as the next passenger comes in and inserts their driver's license, your data is erased. We don't retain it at all.
All right, so we saved the best for last. Nick, if you want to opt out of the facial scan, all you got to do is tell them when you get there, but just be prepared to take out your old ID or a passport, and then you'll just go through security just like the old way, Nick.
You know, Xavier, I'm the cheesy one. I stand in front of that thing, I snatch off the glasses, and I just smile. It usually gets a laugh from TSA, you know, but I like doing stuff like that. Xavier Walton, thank you so much.
Tulsi Gabbard has served in our military.
Even blaming ourselves for the acts of our adversaries, as Tulsi Gabbard has done.
One of Pete Hegseth's criticisms of our Pentagon is that we've gone away from merit.
He never commanded a company, let alone battalions, brigades, or whole armies.
Lawmakers and leaders all in on making their case for and against some of President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees. But new polling shows that some crying foul over several of the incoming administration picks may be out of touch with the rest of the country. News Nation's Brooke Schaefer is live with the details. And Brooke, I have to guess that many people are saying, we've seen Mr. Trump before, we're trusting his choices this time around, and are excited about some of his picks.
Yeah, Nick, good morning to you. Despite all of the negative headlines generated from President Trump's picks like Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, and Matt Gaetz' short-lived Attorney General nomination, the majority of Americans, according to a new poll, say that they are satisfied with the people being tapped to lead the second Trump administration. These numbers, they're coming from a new CBS News YouGov poll, and it shows that close to 60% of Americans approve of the president-elect transition so far, despite the controversy swirling on Capitol Hill over some of his latest cabinet picks. In fact, 3 of President-elect Trump's most polarizing nominees are garnering more positive views than negative ones. Let's run through some of them for you here. 47% of Americans say they think noted vaccine skeptic Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a good pick for Health and Human Services Secretary, compared to 34% who think he's not a good choice. 36% say Tulsi Gabbard is a good pick for Director of National Intelligence, compared to just 27% who say she's not. And 33%, they say that Fox News personality Pete Hegseth is a good pick for Secretary of Defense, compared to just 28% who say the opposite. Now, the poll still highlighted some pretty sharp partisan divides, but right now, fewer than half of Democrats say that they are feeling motivated to actively oppose Trump at this stage, signaling some serious potential political fatigue. Nick?
Brooke, quick question for you, though. What does the poll tell us about Americans' expectations for Mr. Trump's policies, particularly on 2 hot-button issues that he campaigned on, the economy and immigration?
Nick, Americans say, according to this poll, that they're feeling optimistic. When it comes to the economy, a lot of Americans, especially Trump supporters, believe that his administration will lower prices and improve financial conditions. Nearly half of the country in this poll said that they think President-elect Trump will lower grocery prices. It was a critical issue, as you've laid out there, for Trump on the campaign trail. And, of course, top of mind right now for a lot of American households, especially around the holidays. And while 57% of Americans are in favor of Trump's promised mass deportation program, Americans are split on who should be enforcing that policy. Now, as Trump builds out his cabinet and his team heading back to the White House, the public seems to value expertise and independence. But specifically among Republicans, loyalty to Trump remains a top priority for cabinet members, and it's a trend that we have seen shaping Trump's appointments so far. Nick?
Brooke Schaefer helping me to break it down this morning. Brooke, thank you so much. Joining us now, Republican strategist Whitley Yates and Democratic analyst Jonathan Harris. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jonathan, I'm going to jump in there and begin with you. Let's talk about that CBS YouGov poll that Brooke just mentioned in her report. It finds that 59% of President-elect Trump's handling of the transition that they approve. Does this show that the controversy surrounding some of these nominees are not really resonating with most Americans?
Well, 59% is an interesting number. I would also point out that there was a CBS poll that said that Kamala Harris was leading in 4 swing states. I generally tend to take polling with a grain of salt. I think you can get a better idea of how the country feels about Donald Trump by the election, where he got, I think it was a 1.6% difference between votes for Donald Trump and votes for Vice President Kamala Harris. And according to the latest numbers, the majority of the country voted against him. Those are a little more reliable to me than polling. But look, I think if you were to ask the average American, do you think that Matt Gaetz was a good idea, considering that he was under investigation for sex with a minor? They probably would say no. If you were to say that a Fox News host was replacing a 4-star general, that Fox News host also having been involved in accusations of rape, they would probably say no. And they would probably say that Dr. Oz was not a good choice. And they would probably say that the woman from the wrestling TV show, who is also named in a sexual abuse lawsuit, was probably not a good choice. So I have to admit, being a slight bit skeptical of polling when those are the numbers that we're working with and the data we're working with.
But Whitley, when we look at this poll, in 2016, a similar poll found Pew Research 41% approved of then President-elect Trump's handling of transition teams. Why is it different this time around? And, you know, Jonathan mentioned Matt Gaetz, but it seems as though the party kind of self-censored itself, because publicly they all supported Mr. Gaetz, but something happened behind closed door where Mr. Gaetz withdrew his nomination.
Yeah, I think that there was too much calamity around his nomination, and it didn't really allow for the process to continue. And if this was going to hang up the entire nomination process and selecting a strong cabinet, then they were going to have to chop off the head of the snake. And that's what they did. And I think that they moved on so graciously. I do find it interesting that Jonathan points out the 4-star general that's being replaced with a major that is also in the military. But where did that 4-star general get us? It got us 13 people dead in an Afghanistan withdrawal that was completely and utterly botched. So when you want to talk about the level of credentials that people have, but you look at the way that they led this country, the reason why people are excited about Trump's picks is because they believe they can do the work.
But Whitley, you're not suggesting, or are you suggesting, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that their credentials and experience are equal?
No, what I'm saying is you have the credentials, but what happens when you're placed in a position of power and how you lead this country is different. Biden had tons of credentials.
Who negotiated?
At that administration, and you have to look at the way that people lead. Just because you have the credentials doesn't mean that you have the character and capacity to lead.
Got you. Credentials alone does not a good leader make, is what you're saying there, Whitley.
Well, who
Gotcha.
negotiated
Jonathan, go ahead.
that terrible withdrawal with the Taliban? That wasn't him. That would have been Donald Trump. So I mean, let's be honest here. Donald Trump handed President Biden a country that had just been in a recession, a horribly botched, poorly executed, not finished negotiation with the Taliban to withdraw from Afghanistan, as well as a COVID pandemic that had killed hundreds of thousands of people. Like, let's not rewrite history here. It's not the 4-star general. It was that Trump
Biden could have
decided
come in and planned his own exit, and he didn't choose.
It's that Trump decide. And the reason that Trump was fired by 81 million people and is the most unpopular president of all time, and that's according to Gallup that measures presidential approval ratings, is because he was a complete failure as a president. So please don't take
Jonathan, I'm going to jump in there. Jonathan Whitley, I do want to jump in there because Jonathan, for him to be unpopular, folks show seem to love him. They want a little bit more. The CBS poll finds that most Republicans now believe America's best days are in the future. But back in October, most believed they were in the past. And among Democrats, it's a plurality, right? 45% now believe America's best days are in the past, when just a month ago, most believed they were in the future. What does this mean for Democrats' messaging now, Jonathan, going forward?
I think Democrats have to do something that Whitley's comment made very, very clear. Democrats have to understand that their responsibility, particularly when dealing with a person like Donald Trump, who is a known habitual liar and whose followers, when he decisively lost the 2020 election by 8 million votes, decided to spend the next 4 years saying he really won it. Democrats have to tell the truth. There's a phenomenal article from the New York Times. It's called "The Landslide That Wasn't: Trump and His Allies Pump Up His Narrow Victory." And what it does is it explains there's a 1.6% difference between him and Kamala Harris, that the majority of Americans for the third and thank God final time voted against Donald Trump, meaning the majority of Americans did not want Donald Trump to win, and that he has the smallest percentage in the popular vote since the 1800s. It's the third smallest since the 1800s. That is not a mandate. That is not what a mandate is. It is very important that people understand civics and what a mandate is versus just winning an election.
Whitley, give me the last word. What is a mandate and how do you move forward?
You know, I find it interesting that it is not a mandate, but we haven't had a Republican win the popular vote since Bush. And I do find it interesting that Democrats right now are actually taking the plan that Republicans did back in 2020. They're, denying the election, or they're saying it wasn't denying the election. The truth is, Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States. America voted that way, and so did the Electoral College. We are excited about the picks that he has for his presidency, for his cabinet, and we're excited to see the plan that he has for America. And that is what we are going to do. We're focusing on America. We're not focusing on those who lost the election, those who are questioning the election. We're focused on making food cheaper.
Nobody's questioning it, and nobody said he lost. He just doesn't have a mandate.
Jonathan Harris and Whitley Yates, the two of you, next time you're in Chicago, we're finishing this conversation at one of my favorite drinking holes. Definitely. You guys, thank you both for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Here are some of the other stories we're keeping an eye on for you today. At least one crew member is dead after a cargo plane crashed in Lithuania. Security camera footage capturing the moment fire officials say the DHL plane went down about a mile from the airport and skidded into a nearby house. Smoke and fire shot into the air. Rescue crews say they pulled out 3 others on board, including the pilot, out of that wreckage, and at least 12 people were evacuated from that building that the plane crashed into. This crash is under investigation. A farm in California is voluntarily recalling its raw milk after bird flu was found in a sample. Officials say no illnesses have been reported, but warn anyone who has the milk not to drink it. They also say any pasteurized milk is safe because the heating process would kill any pathogens like bird flu. Later this morning, we'll be speaking with a specialist about the safety of our country's food supply and how best to protect your family. And take a look at this. Talk about lucky. These two are superstars. These two turkeys, that's Peaches over there, and that's Blossom on the right, I believe. I think that's what Peaches told me. There you go. They're ready for the Thanksgiving tradition. President Biden will pardon the birds at the White House later this morning so they can spend their days at a Minnesota Agriculture Center, not the dinner table. The 17-week-old turkeys were raised and trained for this annual spotlight. And as you can see, we're more than ready for their close-up, Mr. DeMille. That's right. They'll be there for today's event. And Saquon Barkley is rewriting the history books in his first season with the Eagles after a record-setting performance under the Sunday Night Lights. Take a look.
At their own 30, Saquon Barkley as the running back. And you said it, Chris. Big opening. Barkley let loose. Saquon will take it the distance. Touchdown.
Yeah, and if you look closely, you can see wings on the end of those cleats. Those lights weren't too bright for Barkley, who ripped off two 70-yard touchdown runs and finished with over 250 rushing yards. The Rams had no answer, and the Eagles are flying high into a 7th straight win, 37-20. Barkley's 255 yards on the ground is the most ever for an Eagles player and good for the 9th most in a game in NFL history. And the running game was the key to success for the Packers, hosting the defending NFC champion 49ers. Josh Jacobs barreled through the San Francisco defense for 3 touchdowns at the goal line. Jordan Love threw 2 touchdowns of his own, and Green Bay cruised to the win, 38-10. The Menendez brothers are back in court today for a highly anticipated hearing. The new evidence a judge is considering that could pave the way to their release, and how hard it'll be for the public to get a seat in that courtroom. And terrifying moments for passengers when their plane's engines burst into flames. Take a look at that video. That's scary. What we know about this massive fire and how the people on board are doing.
Remarkable women from across the country. 125 trailblazers will be honored with a chance to win $25,000 for the nonprofit of their choice. Nominations open through December 20th. Go to newsnationnow.com to enter a remarkable woman today.
Herbal Essences is a force of nature, made with supercharged botanical blends. Our sulfate-free formulas deeply penetrate to boost hair health without the Salon Naturals price tag. Herbal Essences.
We wish you a whole turkey, we wish you a whole ham, we wish you all the sides and fixings, and it's all to go.
I guess you won't get to burn the turkey this year.
Funny.
And it's all to go.
This is Poof Litterizer, and it puts an end to litter box stink. Just sprinkle a few tablespoons onto clean litter for a dry and stink-free litter box. Look, this is about the same amount of pee-wee most cats make in a month. But just a few tablespoons of Poof Litterizer sucks up all that wetness and odor and won't let it go. You can't wring it out, you can't squeeze it out. Your litter box never gets a chance to stink. All right. Now give it a smell.
Literally smells like nothing.
That's crazy. And it makes litter last longer, slashing your litter cost. The Litterizer is a non-toxic, environmentally friendly formula used in top equestrian centers for over a decade to help keep horse stalls clean, dry, and sanitary. Other products claim to reduce litter box odor, but with the Litterizer, your litter box never gets a chance to stink because the Litterizer captures wetness and odor and won't let it go. And the Litterizer makes litter box cleanup a breeze. No more stinky litter boxes, no more stinky houses. No one's gonna come over and say, do you got a cat? Poof Litterizer eliminates unhealthy litter box odor and has no toxic or tacky fragrances. Poof Litterizer is the litter box civilizer, earning Cat Fancy's Editor's Choice Award for innovation. Call or go online to get a 16-ounce container of Poof Litterizer. Good for months of litter changes for just $24.95. It's guaranteed to save you double that in kitty litter costs. A dry and stink-free litter box that saves you time and money? It's a no-brainer! Get Poof Litterizer, the litter box civilizer, for just $24.95.
Bye-bye cough.
Later chest congestion. Hello, 12 hours of relief.
12 hours? Not coughing? Hashtag still not coughing?
Mucinex DM gives you 12 hours of relief from chest congestion and any type of cough, day or night. Mucinex DM. It's comeback season.
For the better part of a century, Harry and David has been making gourmet gifts that bring people together, to share traditions and make new memories, to bring us all closer, even when we're apart. No matter when and no matter where, life is a gift best shared. Harry and David, life is a gift. Share more.
The wall is a symbol of trespass for law enforcement here at the southern border, but for migrants, it's a beacon of hope they're trying to get over.
News Nation is the only news network with year-round resources on the southern border.
Where are you guys from? Where are you from, sir? Right in the thick of it. Coyote, you have a gun? Are you gonna hurt me? News Nation has stayed boots on the ground since this crisis started. When everyone else leaves, News Nation stays every day.
To cover the border, you have to be on the border. News Nation, news for all Americans.
Welcome back. Take a look at your screen right now. This is the story I told you about right before the break. This fiery plane wreck on a runway in Turkey. Now, Turkish officials say the Russian-made engine on that jet burst into flames as it landed. All 89 passengers and 6 crew members on board are safe this morning. No word yet on what caused the engines to catch fire. And you remember that moment a man was caught on camera diving over a Las Vegas judge's bench to attack her? Yeah, well, today his name, Diabra Redden, and he's being sentenced for vaulting across the bench back in January. Mr. Redden has pleaded guilty, but mentally ill to attempted murder and other charges. Now, the judge testified that she feared for her life. Redden is already serving prison time for other felony battery convictions, and he faces up to 86 years in prison for that particular assault. And happening today, Eric and Lyle Menendez, the brothers convicted of killing their parents more than 30 years ago in their Beverly Hills mansion, are expected to appear virtually in front of a judge this morning. Their long-awaited resentencing hearing, decades in the making, and their lawyer hoping the brothers can be freed from prison by Christmas. Our own Mills Hayes is here with the details. And Mills, this case has so much public interest, there's actually a lottery system in order to get into the courtroom to watch the proceedings.
Yeah, Nick, it might be the hottest seat today in L.A. You may have seen the Netflix series Monsters based off of the Menendez brothers, or maybe the documentary. Both have thrust the convicted murderers back into the spotlight. And after 3 decades behind bars for killing their parents in their Beverly Hills home in 1989, brothers Eric and Lyle Menendez may have a chance at freedom, and if it was up to their lawyer, they'd be home by Christmas. The two will be back in court virtually this morning for a highly anticipated status hearing, and the demand to get inside the LA courthouse is high, especially as younger generations rally on TikTok to get them released. There will be a lottery to allocate the 16 seats reserved for the public. That's 16 seats in a city with more than 10 million total residents. 1 month ago, Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon recommended the brothers be resentenced, citing a deeper understanding of the complexity surrounding sexual violence. When the brothers were tried in 1993, both brothers testified about the extensive abuse they experienced at the hands of their own father.
Was you telling Lyle what?
My dad had been molesting me.
And did you want something from your brother? Is that why you told him?
I wanted to stop him.
Were you seeking help from your brother?
Yes.
Their respective juries could not reach a verdict, and during their second trial in 1995, much of the defense's evidence arguing that the boys were sexually abused by their father, Jose, was excluded. Many of the Menendez brothers' family members are standing behind the brothers.
If Lyle and Eric's trial happened today, the outcome would be drastically different. The evidence of their father's abuse would have been a central part of their defense. And it's very likely they would not have received such harsh sentences.
But the brothers' release is not a guarantee. The DA that recommended resentencing Gascon was not reelected this month. And incoming DA Nathan Hochman says that he has to review all the case materials before making a decision, something he can't do until he takes office. Nick?
Mills Hayes, thank you so much. Let's bring in Daryl Cohen, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor and legal analyst. Daryl, I know that you've been watching this from the beginning, as have we. The selection for those 16 open seats for the public. Is this typical for a high-profile case, or has this case taken on a whole new level of fame of its own?
If you talk about fame, multiply it by 5,000, maybe 10,000. This is an unbelievable amount of publicity that has garnered here because of the entire facts and circumstances from the beginning to now.
And Daryl, let me ask you this, though, but why this one? You and I can remember O.J. Simpson, Michael Jackson. I mean, we've seen high-profile cases before. What is it about this one that has seemed to have so many people interested, and particularly these young people on social media like TikTok and things like that, advocating for their release?
It's a compound word. It's called Netflix. We all watch Netflix. Some of us watch it because we want to be entertained. Some of us watch it because we want to be educated. Regardless, Netflix has done an incredible job of bringing these two young men now in front of the entire world and letting them know, letting the world know exactly what they went through and why, at least in the court of public opinion, they should be released, resentenced, and then released, whether it's today, next week, or next month.
And Daryl, I know you don't necessarily have a dog in this fight because you don't represent them, but in a situation like this, ousted DA George Gascon, he requested to have the brothers resentenced right before his election, but he lost that election. Do you believe that was a ploy to help him get reelected, or did he really feel in his gut, or do you believe he really felt in his gut that things would have come out differently had evidence about, their father's alleged molestation actually been introduced in court?
It might have been a little of both. He probably looked at the case, looked at the evidence, looked at what was not admitted in the case in the courtroom, was not the sexual molestation, was not what it should have been. And then he said to himself, I've got a problem. I'm a progressive. I've got a real problem on being reelected. So this is not going to hurt me to say this and come out with it now. Didn't help him. If it helped him, it didn't help him enough, obviously.
And my guess is you understand the incoming district attorney wanting to look at this information himself before he makes a decision.
Well, he's smart enough to know that whatever his decision is, he has to say whether he really means it or not. That's another story. But he needs to say that I need to look at all of the facts. And frankly, he can look at it before he takes office as the DA. So that's just a ploy to buy some more time. Regardless, doing the right thing is what a prosecutor should do. Some prosecutors believe their job is to prosecute. Others, such as when I was an assistant DA, an assistant state attorney in Miami, would say, let's look at the case, and there are certain cases that need to be prosecuted, and others we need mercy. In this instance, I think mercy is what we need. They've served so many years. There's so much evidence that was not admitted that now we know about, and the family, for the most part, wants them released. That tells me volumes.
Daryl Cohen, thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish that, Daryl. I'm sorry.
And there's a way to do this. Even if the judge says, no, I'm not going to re-sentence, Governor Newsom can do it as well. He can commute the sentence. So there are all sorts of ways to arrive at justice. Let's just see how quickly it happens.
I love what you said there, Daryl. Even as a prosecutor, you felt you had a responsibility to see justice through, regardless. It's not about just prosecute. Daryl Cohen, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Has Elon Musk been flooding your social media with feeds with investment opportunities? Well, you might be getting scammed, and you're not alone. A new report detailing the staggering amount of money deepfake scammers have taken from Americans in the last year, the jaw-dropping total, and how you can protect yourself from becoming a victim. And speaking of the billionaire, he and his rival Jeff Bezos duking it out on social media over space exploration. News Nation's Tom Dempsey joins us from the White House. Tom, this battle to be the top dog is very intense.
Yeah, and it's now spreading to social media, Nick. After the break, we'll explain, how this rivalry is now evolving even more and how billions of dollars in space contracts with the Pentagon could potentially be at stake. We'll take a deeper dive after the break.
Deck the turkey with gravy and fixings. Fa la 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 la.
Dad, we are at a restaurant.
'Tis the season for ham and pork roast. Fa la 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 la.
I didn't know turkeys could sing.
We wish you a lot of yeast.
There's something going around the Gordon home. Good thing Gertrude found Delsum. Now what's going around is 12-hour cough relief. And the giggles. The family that takes Delsum together feels better together.
Molly leaving was one thing, but then I thought Mom's osteoporosis might keep us stuck on the couch. No way.
If you have postmenopausal osteoporosis and are at high risk for fracture, you can do more than just slow bone loss. You can build new bone in 12 months with Evenity. Evenity is proven to significantly reduce spine fracture risk.
She said the Evenity she's taking builds new bone. Builds new bone!
Evenity can increase risk of heart attack, stroke, or death from a heart problem. Tell your doctor if you have had a heart attack or stroke. Do not take Evenity if you have low blood calcium or are allergic to it, as serious events have occurred with Evenity. Signs include rash, hives, swelling of the face or throat, which may cause difficulty in swallowing or breathing, muscle spasms or cramps, numbness, or tingling. Tell your doctor about severe jawbone problems, as they have been reported with Evenity. Report hip, groin, or thigh pain. Unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred with Evenity.
Building bone? We dig it.
Want stronger bones? Ask your doctor about Evenity.
Mike Huckabee here for Vinia, the remarkable red grape superfood for better blood flow. I've taken Vinia every day for 3 years. It's been a life changer for me. The science is sound. In a 90-day clinical trial, Vinia significantly increased the dilation of arteries. This dilation increases blood flow. Better blood flow gives me the physical energy I want. Better blood flow means more oxygen can go to my brain to give me the mental alertness that I need to be at the top of my game. Call or go online to get your first month free. Guaranteed results or your money back.
Running your business can feel like a jungle, overwhelming and scary. But you just need the right tool. Odoo is the best software to run any kind of business efficiently. Through a sea of tasks, overwhelming paperwork, and never-ending spreadsheets. Whatever your business is, Odoo saves time to focus on what you really love doing. Try it now for free at odoo.com.
I got this $1,000 camera for only $41 on DealDash.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56.
I got this barbecue smoker for 26 bucks.
And shipping is always free.
Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
Welcome back. 32 minutes after the hour. Here's a look at the top stories we're following this morning. The Thanksgiving travel week is getting underway. AAA expects as many as 80 million people, 80 million, to travel at least 50 miles from home between Tuesday and next Monday, most of whom will be driving, but millions will also be flying. The TSA expects to screen more than 18 million people at airport checkpoints nationwide. And President-elect Donald Trump has all his cabinet choices locked down. The mix includes sitting lawmakers, TV personalities, and business executives. Some controversy still surrounds his picks to head National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, as well as choice for Secretary of Defense, Fox News host Pete Hegseth. And at least one person is dead after a cargo plane crashed near the airport in the capital of Lithuania. Take a look at your screen. Authorities say the plane was coming in for a landing when it went down just shy of the runway and veered into a house. The cause of the crash is under investigation. And here are some of the other top stories we're watching this morning. Right now, workers at Charlotte Douglas International Airport, the 7th busiest in the world, are on strike. Several hundred employees contracted with American Airlines for cleaning and wheelchair escorts are demanding better pay. They say the wages are unlivable and some workers are homeless. Airport officials say this holiday season is on track to be the busiest, with more than 1 million passengers departing Charlotte between last Thursday and next Monday. Has Elon Musk been popping up in your social media feeds, offering you the investment opportunity of a lifetime? Well, be careful. Research group Deloitte says deepfake scams like ones of Musk and other celebrities cost more than $12 billion in fraud losses last year. And Deloitte warns those scams could bilk Americans out of as much as, get this, $40 billion by 2027. So we really need you to pay close attention to those videos and signs of lip syncing issues before thinking about handing over your hard-earned cash. And you asked for it, and Kraft listened. Pre-orders for the newest Kraft mac and cheese flavor, Everything Bagel, just opened up this morning. It's exclusively on Walmart.com right now and in stores on Black Friday. But you have to be lucky and move quickly. Kraft is releasing fewer than 15,000 boxes nationwide. Why Everything Bagel? Well, you wanted it. And Kraft says studies show Gen Z absolutely loves pretty much anything with that seasoning on top, even ice cream. Yeah. A billionaire space battle is heating up between the two richest men in the world. They're fighting it out. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos want a lock on space travel and lucrative government contracts. While they're both rubbing elbows with the most powerful politicians on this planet, Musk has a budding bromance with President-elect Trump. News Nation's Tom Dempsey joins us live to break it all down. Tom, both men could be rewarded handsomely should their company be the one to move forward, but both really want Mr. Trump's ear.
Yeah, and that's where this rivalry comes from. This rivalry between billionaires Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos only appears to be growing more heated. And to put it in perspective, like you said, billions of dollars in space contracts with the Pentagon could be at stake, as well as who exactly leads the private space flight industry. We recently saw this spread to social media recently after Musk posted to X, the social media site he owns, accusing Bezos of thinking President-elect Donald Trump would lose this past election and allegedly telling others to sell their stocks in Tesla and SpaceX, both owned by Musk. Bezos responded, though, saying 100% not true. Musk's friendship with Trump could make a big difference when it comes to the future of the private spaceflight industry. SpaceX conducted around 100 rocket launches last year and has sent thousands of Starlink satellites into orbit. Blue Origin, on the other hand, the company Bezos founded in 2000, has yet to reach orbit. And while Musk has seen his friendship grow with the president-elect in recent months, Mr. Trump and Bezos have seen some sort of testy moments over the years. In the past, the Washington Post, owned by Bezos, brought aggressive coverage of Trump's first term, which led to this post in 2018. When Mr. Trump called the paper an expensive lobbyist for Amazon. According to Politico, Blue Origin has been closely monitoring what sort of influence Musk may have on the president-elect's choice to lead NASA. Like I said, billions of dollars in contracts with SpaceX and Blue Origin could be at risk. And according to Politico, the private spaceflight industry has voiced concerns that Musk may push for Catherine Leaders, currently the GM of the SpaceX Starbase facility in Texas, to head the agency. Politico says Blue Origin has gone to Capitol Hill and voiced concerns about supposedly unfair advantages in the space race and accusing Musk of wanting to develop a monopoly in space. Nick?
Tom, I have reason to believe that this is one we need to keep our eyes on. Tom, I do want to ask you this, though. Officials are really concerned about how this could move forward. Could eventually consumers be the one to benefit, do you think?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the competition can be a good thing from time to time. And when we're talking about space exploration, it's kind of exciting to think of the possibilities. You know, under President-elect Trump, during his first term, we saw things like the Artemis program, which is the mission to send humans back to Earth and humans back to the moon, I should say, and then also prep them for missions to Mars. And we also saw him develop the Space Force. So, you know, who knows where we could see this rivalry go and all this competition go when it comes to space, Nick.
Exciting times ahead. Tom Dempsey, live at the White House. Tom, thank you so much. Officials are sounding the alarm this morning on more and more foods over safety concerns. What to watch out for and how you can keep your family safe, whether you're dining out or cooking at home. Plus, you recognize this guy from the 2017 hit Despacito, but singing isn't all Luis Fonsi does. He'll join me here on Morning in America to talk about his advocacy for St. Jude's and more. Why you don't want to miss it.
Your parents have given you some amazing gifts, but what about the inherited ones? Celebrate them with Ancestry DNA, the simple test that shows your deep family roots from your mom's side and your dad's side, with some serious detail. Trace the journeys and history that shaped who you are today and see the traits they passed down. Your connections to the past are all waiting. See just how gifted you are for only $39.
We wish you a whole turkey, we wish you a whole ham, we wish you all the sides and fixings, and it's all to go.
I guess you won't get to burn the turkey this year.
Funny.
And it's all to go.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, she came out fighting. 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on, 5 different medications. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx can save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. You do the math, the money we're able to save with using GoodRx, we're able to do all these extra activities. She can hit hard, too, for a little skinny thing. So it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
What if you could tackle your dog's itching, soft stools, and low energy? Millions of pet parents are raving about Dr. Marty Nature's Blend.
Such a huge difference in her health. More energy, more playful, no more pooping issues.
I'm Dr. Marty. I've been a veterinarian for more than 50 years. The dangerous ingredients added to many pet foods could be impacting your dog's lifespan. That's why I formulated Nature's Blend.
Now you can feed your dog wholesome cuts of real meat, vegetables, and fruit with no artificial preservatives or fillers. Try Dr. Marty risk-free. Go to drmartypets.com/TV.
We get it. Learning something new is hard, especially a new language. So make it easy on yourself with Babbel, the language learning app that teaches real-world conversation for any situation. Babbel is more than vocab memorization. It teaches practical phrases you'll actually use. Say auf Wiedersehen to I give up, au revoir to it's too hard, and hola to real conversations with real people in a new language. Ready to find your follow-through? Get Babbel. It starts here. Start learning today at Babbel.com.
My hair was thinning all around my hairline.
My dermatologist recommended Nutrafol. It's 100% drug-free and clinically tested.
My hair is longer, thicker.
Nutrafol is life-changing for me.
Get growing at Nutrafol.com.
After Homoglow cleaned our place for $19, we fired our old housekeeper. Homoglow tackled everything, from our kitchen to our bathroom, all our laundry. You just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19.
Did you know you could remodel your kitchen faster and less expensive than the big box stores? At Cabinets to Go, customize your dream kitchen with custom quality cabinets, countertops, and flooring. So transform your kitchen in weeks, not months, minimizing your downtime. Visit one of our 100+ showrooms nationwide and get your dream kitchen today for as low as $139 a month at cabinetstogo.com.
If you're frustrated with occasional bloating or gas, your body's giving you signs. It's time to try Align. Align Probiotic was specifically designed by gastroenterologists to help relieve your occasional bloating and gas. When you feel the signs, it's time to try Align.
Welcome back, 42 minutes after the hour. With families across the country worried about breaking the bank as they prepare Thanksgiving dinner, some of the biggest grocery chains are offering Turkey Day meal deals. Take a look at this. Walmart, Target, and Aldi are all unveiling Thanksgiving bundles that feed anywhere between 4 and 10 people, and all of them cost less than $7 per person. Each bundle comes with a turkey and ingredients to make those sides that we love so much. Target and Aldi both say this year's meal deal is cheaper than in years past. And new this morning, California health officials warning that bird flu was found in a sample of raw milk packaged by Raw Farms LLC. Now, the company has issued a voluntary recall, and there have been no reports of illnesses. But all this, as other recalls in recent months, are sparking concerns over whether our food supply is safe to eat. Popular Boar's Head deli meats have been pulled due to listeria, onions linked to McDonald's Quarter Pounders, and even certain organic carrots linked to E. coli. Joining us now to break it all down, Extension Specialist in Food Science and Distinguished Professor at Rutgers University, Dr. Don Schaffner. Dr. Schaffner, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Don, you understand that people are concerned. It seems like every time we do a newscast, we're giving viewers another warning about something that's been recalled or you need to take a look out for. Do these recent outbreaks indicate that there's a problem with our nation's food supply and that things are getting worse, or are we just doing more fanning the flames by reporting on it?
Well, certainly it's good to talk about food safety and for people to do the right thing when it comes to food safety leading up to Thanksgiving. I don't think that these particular outbreaks are all linked. I think it just shows that our public health agencies like the CDC are doing a good job of keeping track of what's going wrong and telling us about it.
Don, I've long heard that those who actually do the FDA, they actually do the inspections of food, could always use more bodies too. Have you heard the same, and have you seen the same with your research?
Yes, absolutely. The public health agencies need more resources. They always do, right? But now USDA Food Safety Inspection Service had people in that plant, that Boar's Head plant, and they still had problems. Organizations that manufacture carrots and sliced onions, they probably get inspected by FDA once a year. And yeah, it certainly would be better if FDA could get out to those facilities more often.
Don, you know, one of the things I can tell you, you know, they say never talk religion or politics at the dinner table. But if you also want to see a fight, tell black folks not to wash that chicken. Because I tell you, many people will be spending time in the kitchen this year. And some of your biggest safety tips often include stop washing raw food, raw meat in that sink before you cook it because of the spread of bacteria. What are some of the tips you can tell us, and why is that so hard to break through with some communities?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Nick. And I tried really hard not to tell people what to do, but more to tell them the risks of what they're doing and what that means for them. Certainly, if you want to get rid of that slime that's on poultry, you can pour it carefully down the drain. You can tip it into your trash bin. But washing is not going to do a lot to remove bacteria. And it's just going to spray those germs all over your kitchen and maybe onto some foods that you're not going to cook, like a salad or something like that.
And because of the threat of E. coli and Listeria and people worried about food safety, what are some of the most common red flags that we should watch out for when dining out or getting food prepared?
You know, dining out is a tough one. My advice is, if you can, many localities have inspection scores posted online. You can check out the inspection scores for your favorite restaurant and make sure that they're up to snuff.
I feel like I'd be remiss if I did not ask you this, because this is your area of expertise. May I get your thoughts on the future of public health and food safety, specifically Robert F. Kennedy Jr. being tapped to run HHS? What do you make of the president-elect's pick so far?
I can tell you that a lot of my colleagues in food safety are a little bit worried about what he's going to do. A lot of his ideas are not consistent with current scientific thinking, and it's going to be an interesting and probably stressful 4 years for those of us that work in food safety.
Well, Don, I really want to appreciate you for joining us this morning, and hopefully these fears around food safety can be reduced somewhat, particularly as we move into the holidays. Dr. Donald Schaffner, thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick.
A judge set to decide if Sean Diddy Combs can be released on bail ahead of trial next year. Prosecutors say the music mogul has been tampering with witnesses, plus the response from Diddy's defense.
Kind of needs to be more squiggly. Perfect. So now, do you have a driver's license?
Oh. What did you get us?
With the click of a pen, you can get a new Volkswagen at the Sign Then Drive event. Lease a 2024 Tiguan for 0 down, 0 deposit, 0 first month's payment, and 0 due at signing. Limited inventory available.
Those 26 miles in the rain? Yeah. FrameBridge can frame that with custom framing made easy. Whether it's a pick or a Picasso, FrameBridge will frame it with the highest quality materials. Millions of custom frames and counting. Order from framebridge.com by December 16th for holiday delivery.
Deck the turkey with gravy and fixings. Fa la 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 la.
Dad, we are at a restaurant.
'Tis the season for ham and pork roast. Fa la 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 la.
I didn't know turkeys could sing.
We wish you a life.
Reality check, everyone. People look at your jawline.
That's right. No one wants a sagging jawline or double chin.
But as we get a little older, the jawline starts to sag a little bit.
I need a product that's going to step in and help me.
Now you can just make them disappear. Call now for introductory offer on brand new Genucel jawline treatment. Genucel jawline treatment tightens, defines, and contours your saggy jawline in minutes.
The first time I used Genucel, I was just astounded and amazed. The immediate tightening effect that I saw in my jawline was just amazing.
I saw results immediately after using Genucel.
I started using the Genucel
jawline product, and I was amazed at the results I received.
Watch Genucel jawline treatment tighten and define the appearance of the skin around the jawline and visibly reduce that pesky double chin area. Look at the amazing difference. Genucel's new jawline treatment with dual peptide and MDL technology. Genucel's most advanced technology ever. It not only tightens saggy jawline, but it plumps the lipophilic layers of your skin to contour and define the jawline within minutes.
Genucel worked so well that my phone didn't even recognize me. I had to reset my Face ID.
Well, I never thought I would use any kind of product on my face, and when I started using Genucel, I noticed a difference almost immediately, and I would recommend it to everybody.
Try it. You will be amazed. You will see an immediate effect, and you will not believe the results that you see in the mirror.
You'll see a noticeable difference and look years younger in minutes. Plus, the results get better every day. And for a limited time, order Genucel jawline treatment now and save over 70% off Genucel's complete skincare package. Get the breakthrough Genucel immediate effects for results in minutes. And this introductory offer is backed by our ironclad, no questions asked 100% money back guarantee. Call or click now and upgrade to free express shipping. Go to Genucel.com now. That's Genucel.com.
Accidents happen every day. Sweep it up the easy way with the Helio Air Broom, the lightweight, flexible broom that's sweeping the nation. Watch, ordinary brooms only get half the mess, but Air Broom's UltraFlex blade is specially designed to lift and grip and leave nothing behind. And with the Helio Dustpan, you'll never miss a thing. For pets, it's the best. Just look how easily pet hair comes right out of carpets. Big messes, small messes, dry messes, even wet messes. Helio gets them all and rinses clean every time. You'll love Helio or your money back guaranteed. So get your ultra-flexible Helio Air Broom at helioairbroom.com for just $29.99. Or call the number below to order today, and we'll include our Helio dustpan absolutely free. Plus the Helio Mini, yours free too. Great for cleaning up pet hair in the car quick and easy. That's right, you get it all. A $60 value for only $29.99. So order now.
Let's meet the host of Wheel of Fortune, Chuck Woolery.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Charlie. Oh, welcome to Wheel of Fortune. Now to start things off on a bright note, Susie Stafford. Susie?
Well, it's the end of an era. Smooth-talking game show host Chuck Woolery has died. You'll remember him from Wheel of Fortune, Scrabble, and, of course, Love Connection. That's the show where he coined that now famous phrase, "We'll be back in 2 and 2." Woolery later becoming a conservative podcaster, his podcast co-host making the announcement saying Woolery died at his Texas home with his wife by his side. Chuck Woolery was 83 years old. Both sides in the Sean Diddy Combs case have until today to give answers for how the music mogul has been communicating from jail. Combs appearing in court last Friday seeking bail while he awaits trial. He's been held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn since September. Our own Mills Hayes has been following the story, and she's back with more. Mills, here's the question everybody wants to know. Why exactly was his bail decision delayed until today?
Good morning, Nick. Well, the judge requesting more information on Diddy's communication while in jail after allegations of unauthorized contact with witnesses. This is video of Diddy's family arriving to court for last Friday's hearing. Prosecutors arguing he misused prison systems in an attempt to tamper with potential witnesses, and they say they have proof that Diddy used other inmates' phone cards or used three-way calls with friends to contact associates that prosecutors consider to be a part of his criminal enterprise. The defense denying these claims and is pushing for his release under strict conditions, including a $50 million bond and 24/7 monitoring at a secured Manhattan apartment. There will be a hearing today where both sides will have a chance to clarify exactly how Combs has been connecting with the world outside of his jail cell.
Mills, one more question for you. If the judge does not grant him bail, when could he possibly get out?
Well, the judge has promised a decision shortly after today's hearing. If bail is granted, the court would formally approve the proposed bond and monitoring arrangements. Diddy's legal team would need to secure and post the $50 million bond. He would then be processed out of the jail, which only takes a few hours. Sean Combs' trial is currently scheduled to begin in May of next year. Nick?
And then security at an apartment, if all of that were to happen, and you can believe there will be a media circus. Mills Hayes, thank you so much. A bipartisan group of senators are sounding the alarm on TSA's facial recognition technology ahead of the busy travel week of the year. why they say the technology is a privacy risk and what you need to know if you're headed to the airport this week. Plus, it's dance fever inside this coffee shop. Hear what's brewing there and stirring up lots of laughter in today's Dose of Happy. Next.
COVID-19. I'm not waiting. If it's COVID, Paxlovid.
Paxlovid is an oral treatment for adults with mild to moderate COVID-19 and a high risk factor for it becoming severe. It does not prevent COVID-19.
My symptoms are mild now, but I'm not risking it. If it's COVID, Paxlovid.
Paxlovid must be taken within the first 5 days of symptoms and help stop the virus from multiplying in your body.
Taking Paxlovid with certain medicines can lead to serious or life-threatening side effects or affect how it or other medicines work, including hormonal birth control. It's critical to tell your doctor about all the medicines you take because certain tests or changes in their dosage may be needed. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver problems, HIV-1, are or plan to become pregnant or breastfeed. Don't take Paxlovid if you're allergic to nirmatrelvir, ritonavir, or any of its ingredients. Serious side effects can include allergic reactions, some severe, like anaphylaxis, and liver problems. These are not all the possible side effects, so talk to your doctor.
If it's COVID, Paxlovid.
Ask your doctor today.
This job is physical. Climbing ladders, fighting fires, vehicle accidents, and it was all I needed to help keep me in shape when I was younger. But as I got older, I started packing on the pounds, and I just could not keep up like I used to. I knew it was time to lose the weight, but I never had any luck in doing it on my own. I needed a little help from my friends.
You're welcome.
Not you, Tommy. I got a little help from Lipozene, the #1 weight loss supplement in America.
Lipozene is clinically proven to help you reduce body fat and lose weight. It goes to work immediately. The active ingredient expands to help you feel fuller quicker, so you can eat your favorite foods and still lose weight. In fact, in a clinical study, Lipozene users lost 4 times more weight, and 78% of weight loss was from fat, not water. Best of all, they did it without changing their diet or exercise routine, because Lipozene naturally helps curb your appetite to lower your calorie intake so you lose weight. It's that easy.
A secret this good? You know I couldn't keep it to myself. I've lost over 10 pounds and 19 inches. And now, a bunch of my friends are losing weight too.
With Lipozene, I lost over 23 pounds. I went from this to this with Lipozene.
I've lost over 11 pounds. Look at me.
I've lost over 13 pounds in only 8 weeks with Lipozene.
I've lost 112 pounds with America's #1 diet supplement, Lipozene.
With over 35 million bottles sold, it works. You'll lose weight or get your money back, guaranteed.
Now at work, I feel like my younger self. The guys at the fire station, they're trying to keep up with me now. If you need rescue from your diet disaster, get a little help from my friend, Lipozene.
Start your risk-free trial today for only $29.95, and we'll give you a second bottle free. Plus, call now and we'll double the size for 4 times more and throw in a free bottle of Metabo Up Plus to boost your energy, and we'll ship it all for free.
Go to lipozene.com or call 800-441-2449. Order now.
HomeAglow just cleaned my entire house for $19. Seriously, $19. They showed up right on time and did my dishes, my laundry, they even cleaned my windows. You just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19. I love using HomeAglow, and I think you will too.
I can feel the winds of change.
Okay, I actually love this. A free drink is just a few dance moves away in this Massachusetts coffee shop. Coffee Milano Cafe promised a cup of joe on the house for anyone who comes in dancing. Now, this viral video of brew-loving customers has been viewed on TikTok more than 80 million times. The owner is captioning the post because dancing is so good for the soul. And for that is today's Dose of Happy. You know what? They're right. I feel like moving a little bit right now myself. Oh, Tina, where's my coffee? I'm not going to do that to you guys. On this date, the very first Thanksgiving parade was held in Philadelphia. Plus, Caitlin Clark made her debut for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Today is November 25th. If you're thinking about breakfast, it's National Parfait Day. In 1914, baseball player Joe DiMaggio, one of the best in the history of the game, was born. Did you know the very first Thanksgiving parade was held in Philadelphia? Our 35th president of the United States, John F. Kennedy, was buried at Arlington National Cemetery. And we remember Cuban political leader Fidel Castro, who died at age 90 in 2016. In 2020, Caitlin Clark made her collegiate debut for the Iowa Hawkeyes, recording 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists against Northern Iowa.
Don't let me down.
And in 2021, fans could not wait for the documentary series titled The Beatles Get Back, which premiered on Disney+. Yeah, and that Beatles documentary was made entirely from never-before-seen restored footage, and people loved it. I know true fans out there were definitely excited to see it. All right, it's now top of the hour, and the hottest Latin music stars, Luis Fonsi, is using his fame to spread holiday hope with St. Jude. He joins me live to share why he spent the last 16 years giving back and how you can help. More news for All America starts right now.